one of the hottest crime spots in Macon. It's a phrase you've heard on Project Macon for weeks. A title like that doesn't come from just anywhere.
The Bibb County Sheriff's Office has a crime analysis unit and is headed by Sergeant Santel Smith. He actually has a doctorate in criminology. He and his team pull the data and analyze it to see where the problems are and to see what we can do to address it.
So Project Macon sat down with Sergeant Smith to learn how Friends Food Mart got on the radar of local leaders.
We actually use a system where we can create heat maps or calligrapher maps. And those maps start beaming in particular areas.
In 2022, one of those areas was South Macon on Houston Avenue. Smith says the frequency of crime reports near both Pendleton Homes and Friends Food Mart pushed him to dig deeper into finding contributing factors.
Well, we know that people who live in public housing are not always the people who are causing crime. It's the people who come from outside or those who don't have an affiliation but have friends and family may come over there and they bring their crime over there. But we started noticing a lot of loitering at the stores.
Smith started connecting the dots that the store was the common denominator to crime in the area. Soon, he was asked to compare what was happening at Friends Food Mart to what was happening at every other convenience store and liquor store across the county.
Get that information and you have every single liquor store or every single convenience store loaded into the software, and then you ask them to look at call for services and crimes that have actually been committed. That was one of the #1 stores that was having the most amount of crime occurring at its business.
Crimes like the killing of 3 teens in a month's time. Born and raised in Macon, Smith says he doesn't want to see any more young black men become a crime statistic. It's what leads him to do the work he does. The deaths of kids like 16-year-old Kymelo Early and 19-year-olds Braxton Cole and Roderick Felton weren't just a day at the job for Smith.
And the sad thing about it is every single one of those teenagers at Friend Food Mart I knew personally. I worked for Macon Housing Authority part-time.
The sergeant says he watched them grow up, working in the sheriff's office's outreach department, spending time with them at summer camps and in programs like Champs. He hopes the work he does in crime analysis will make a difference for young boys who are still growing up. After the closure and demolition of Friends Food Mart, he says right now, it is.
Crime is not there anymore. We don't see people loitering in public housing areas no more. We don't see people loitering in the streets. Crime has not moved to a different area.
For some living on Houston Avenue, that's what their concern is. Crime moving to one of the other 13 convenience stores that Sergeant Smith says is on Houston Avenue. We pulled the 911 calls made to the store just 1 block away from Friends Food Mart. From June 2017 to May 2022, while Friends was still open, 292 emergency calls were made to Shiv's Food Mart. In that same time period, 206 calls were made to Friends itself, and 216 emergency calls were put in to C Mini Mart just next door. But since Friends closed down in June of last year, only 47 911 calls have been made to Shiv's Food Mart down the street.
All 911 call does not result in a criminal case, okay? And Shiv's Food Mart may be doing the right thing like any respectable business doing. They have people hanging out inside of their business. They're calling 911 saying, hey, I got people hanging out here. So they're bringing us there into the community to remove those parts. The difference between the other store, they wasn't doing those things.
Smith says for now, there's one more Bibb County convenience store he and his analysts are watching that hasn't yet been sued by the county. It's had multiple murders and often spikes in crime. Project Macon is watching too. Reporting for Project Macon, Brittany Miller, WGXA News.